Apple just killed the iPhone SE, but what did they replace it with, and how does it change things? Whether you're looking for a budget iPhone or you only go for the pros, this actually affects you. Gone is the iPhone SE, and it's been replaced with the new iPhone 16e, which is Apple's new $599 entry-level iPhone. It's very interesting, even though this replaces the iPhone SE in Apple's lineup, it doesn't bill itself as a budget iPhone. And in this video, we're not just gonna be talking about the specs, we're gonna talk about what this phone represents and how Apple wants you to think about upgrades. There's so much flying under the radar here to unpack, but real quick before we get into it, have you signed up for Saturday Signals yet? That's my free newsletter that A, will be the most interesting thing you read every week, B, will only take you 60 seconds to get through, and C, will enhance your mental software so it'll impact everything that you do. Check it out, it's linked up down below. So the new iPhone 16e has the A18 chip, which is actually the same as the iPhone 16. It's got an action button, which you might not have been expecting, and it's got 128 gigs of base storage. Still looking at a 60 Hz display, so no ProMotion. Does have Face ID, but also has a notch, no dynamic island. And there's also no camera control button like you see on the regular 16. Now that's a very brief introduction, so we can actually get to the really interesting stuff. But this is not just a budget iPhone. This might be Apple's smartest move in a very long time. Now there's three things that Apple didn't highlight but are very interesting. First of all, the battery life beats the iPhone 16. That's because the C1 modem is more power efficient. This also has one lens, but it's like getting two cameras. The 48 megapixel sensor simulates optical zoom with AI without actually having that extra camera hardware, which cuts back on the price. Also, despite all the interesting features, there's no MagSafe. So while it does have USB-C and you can use USB-C accessories, there's a clear separation between entry-level iPhone accessories and more premium iPhone accessories. Now I want to get to something that's really interesting. Buying an iPhone isn't just about the hardware anymore like you might have thought it was. Increasingly, Apple makes more money off of subscriptions than ever before. iCloud storage, Apple Music, TV Plus, Fitness Plus, all these things represent a cost treadmill that your iPhone is the ticket to ride. Doesn't matter which iPhone you're snapping photos with, it's just a matter of time before you have to upgrade your iCloud storage. So as long as you're buying into an ecosystem with ongoing built-in costs, one way to offset that could be buying a cheaper iPhone up front. And for a lot of people, that's where the iPhone 16e might start making a lot of sense. Now that's one of several interesting ways to think about this phone. I think Apple's playing a bit of a different game here. Instead of giving you a phone with less, I think Apple's giving you a way to get a phone with just what you need. Like the screen's not 120 Hz, but does the average user care? No 5x optical zoom, but do most people need that? It's an interesting thing to think about, but if you strip away all the things that don't impact daily use, what are you really missing out on? For some people, the iPhone 16e might actually be a better fit than the Pro model. And then there's the idea of this being a gateway to the Apple ecosystem. Here you get iMessage, FaceTime, all of Apple's services, Apple Intelligence for a much lower cost. Which makes total sense because once you're in, you're way more likely to stay and upgrade later. But let's talk a little bit about the size. I mean, this replaced the SE, but what happened to small iPhones? Now, this isn't a max-sized phone, but if you're tired of huge devices, you might find this appealing. Even though compared to old SE models, and of course, the Mini, this is bigger. So if you were hoping for a true compact phone, this isn't it, but still, for a lot of people, this is a return to a more manageable phone size when compared to the 16 Plus and the 16 Pro Max. Now, I want to talk about the name, iPhone 16e, because this isn't meant to be just a name change. What it is a mindset shift. Very cleverly, Apple didn't lower the price of an iPhone. Instead, they renamed it and then made it feel like it's an upgrade. By calling this the iPhone 16e instead of the SE, Apple makes it feel like it's part of the flagship lineup. So instead of a specs shift, we actually have a branding shift. Which is fine because I think there's a hidden advantage here that Apple's not even advertising, and that's just long-term software support. Android's been catching up in recent years in terms of how many years of updates they offer. But here you're not getting a Pro iPhone, but you're still getting that long-term upgrade schedule. So if you're looking for an iPhone that lasts, then yeah, this checks the box. So who is this thing for? Let's see if you fit into any of these categories. Number one, if you're wanting to upgrade your iPhone and you're looking for something modern, but you don't want to have to spend $800+, then this is going to be a good fit. If you're deep in the Apple ecosystem, but you don't need Pro features, Or maybe you need a simple, reliable phone for work or a kid or as a secondary device or an elderly person. This checks all of those boxes. So those are all people who would be into this aside from just the budget angle or saving money angle. Of course, you're gonna have people who actually need or want a more upgraded phone with the latest, greatest features, and maybe they rely on an iPhone Pro for shooting video or something like that. So that makes sense, but this still affects everybody because it affects how you think of whatever iPhone you actually end up using. So the 16E isn't just another budget iPhone, it is Apple reshaping how we think about smartphone value. Now, budget aside, specs aside, for some people out there, I think this is going to be the perfect phone because as I've talked about in some recent videos, we're kind of hitting like a hardware ceiling where hardware matters less and things like the cloud and AI matter more in terms of what you can do with a phone or with any device. We talked about this with the iPad Air outselling the iPad Pro recently because it gave people 95% of the functionality that they needed at a more affordable price. And I'm starting to think that for a lot of people, good enough is base entry-level product, whether that's the iPhone, whether that's the iPad or the Mac, because AI and the cloud have made such a dent. Maybe for you, this is just a reminder of why the Pro models exist, but either way, Apple's strategy here is smart because it is about shifting perception and not just hardware. So let me know, are you excited about this? Are you all in on the Pros? What's the logic? Why? Is hardware less important than it used to be, do you feel like? Or does it still really matter for you to get the latest, greatest, pay the most? What does this mean in terms of status symbol? A lot of people have considered an iPhone like an affordable luxury for many years, and they just like having that latest thing to show off. Does that flip on its head with this? Is the real status not overpaying and still being able to do most of what you can do on a Pro or something? Like, let's have this discussion. I think it's an important phone. I'm excited about it. I'd like to get my hands on it and try it out. So let me know what you want me to test specifically. Thanks for hanging out today. Don't forget to check out Saturday Signals. It has an industry-leading open rate for a reason. People love it. Also, I mentioned the difference that AI is making when it comes to the math on what phone you should be buying. And if you want to go deeper, you should check out my AI course, My AI Edge. Basically, if you love AI, hate AI, it's designed to help you take advantage of the opportunities that AI is bringing and experience less disruption all at the same time. It's linked up down below, and I'm even going to give you a really nice coupon and discount since you watched all the way to the end of the video. Check it out, it's linked up down below, and I'll catch you over on the second channel or in your inbox with Saturday Signals. Who knows where we're going to show up later.